Africa for an official visit where he is expected to hold high-level talks with President Cyril Ramaphosa, who chairs the African Union Committee on South Sudan. The talks come as South Sudan prepares for elections later this year, amid concerns from the main opposition party that the revitalised peace agreement is being undermined. And for more on this, we are joined on the line by Advocate Sipho Mantula, a researcher at the Thabo Mbeki African School of Public and International Affairs. Advocate Mantula, good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Asante sana Lulu, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Now, Advocate, what is the importance of this visit by South Sudanese President Salva Kiir to South Africa as the East African nation prepares for its first national election since independence?
Lulu, this visit is very important in the sense that others might say it's a follow-up meeting that happened in March 2026 when President Salva Kiir coming with the same concern and a challenge in terms of the implementation of the peace agreement of 2018. But also, like you have said, to come and probably brief the President as the chair of the C5 on Sudan and the special envoy in the office of the presidency, which is the Deputy President Paul Mashatile. And also this visit, there are tensions. If you'll recall, within the cabinet of President Salva Kiir, there have been fallout between him and Riek Machar. There have been challenges also within the South Sudan Electoral Management Board. Are they ready 3 months from now to host those elections? So this visit is very key, but as you know, others are saying is the visit coupled also with the mission of medical treatment. If you get into the president's diary now to say, is he here really for a diplomatic engagement or also is it for his medical treatment?
Now, could this visit be an opportunity to break the political deadlock between the government of South Sudan and its opposition, as the main opposition says the revitalised peace agreement is being undermined? The Vice President Riek Machar being under house arrest for quite a long time now. What are we likely to see after the engagements with President Cyril Ramaphosa?
Lulu, I do think that South Africa has the roadmap to assist the South Sudan as well as the African Union and also the regional economic bodies within the East Africa community. Remember, you have IGAD also that have been seized with this mediation. And also to say, since 2010, for when they got the referendum for separation, there have never been any elections in that country. And it will be very important move for both the African Union, South Africa being the chair, and also South Africa being part of the Peace and Security Council, how to bring that missing voice of the civil society component. Yes, we have factions within the ruling party of the Sudanese People's Liberation Movement, SPLM, and also when you look at the role of South Africa that it must play, we have been critical as South Africa, playing it in many different roles, from multi-transdisciplinary. I will say for you, from the state support from academia side. I still recall at UNISA, we used to have a capacity building for the South Sudanese. But the problem, Lulu, to be honest with you, there is still corruption in that country. There is still lack of leadership to advance the role of women and youth. You'll recall that the wife of John Garang was also removed from the presidency during the time of Salva Kiir. So there is this problem also of how do you manage the South Sudan, and at the same time you have a challenge of the North Sudan, you have a challenge in Darfur. How do you address the issue of the Horn of Africa, more so looking at Sudan and the South Sudan? So this visit, I think, is very important for the presidency of South Africa and also as the chair of the AU to can bring hope to the to why there have been many delays. Remember, we have an embassy and their commissioner both in North and
Advocate Mantula, I'm not sure what's happening to your network, but if you're moving around, please go back to where you were initially, because now we're missing out. Yes, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, now you've gone back to that spot. Please stay there, because if you move around, then we miss out on a lot. The network just goes sideways. Advocate, If the opposition believes that the peace agreement is being undermined, what would convince opposition groups to participate in the elections? I mean, these elections have repeatedly been postponed. What makes December 2026 different? And from your assessment, is the country ready to hold elections this time?
I'm not certain, Lulu, if they are ready. And I fully agree with your aspect to say, how do you bring the civil society back into, and the opposition back into the engagement? Because yes, revitalized peace agreement 2018, you can still go for a review, reflection on its modalities. What are the challenges there? And that's where I'm still sticking that the issue, it is also within the security cluster. It is also within the political. Remember, even the parliament of that country, Lulu, if you have to think of the spheres of government, if the parliament also is not active, then how are you going to have elections that can also give birth to that parliament? Because you have to have an effective parliament, you have to have a responsive executive, and also you have to have an independent judiciary. So if you have to bring opposition, it's for them to understand this notion of the statecraft. They have to understand this notion of peace building that has already has hiccups and has got hits and misses. Because I think their peace process has hiccups, it's got hits and misses, but it is important for them to understand that this is for the generation of the South Sudanese, the young people and the women of the South Sudan that deserve peace, Lulu. Since 2011, the South Sudan has never tasted this prize called freedom.
Well, Advocate Mantula, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Asante sana.
That's Advocate Sipho Mantula, a researcher at the Thabo Mbeki African School of Public and International Affairs, joining us on the line.
Channel Africa is evolving.